I only support my real kid. And you won't believe what happened. The photo albums were my first clue. They sat on the top shelf of the hall closet, gathering dust motes that danced in the afternoon sun whenever I opened the door. I'd always assumed they were just old, forgotten. Now I suspected they were actively being rewritten. Max's baby pictures filled the first few albums. Max at the park, Max at his first birthday, Max with Dad teaching him to ride a bike. The sheer volume was staggering. Then came my albums, or what should have been my albums. Instead, they were filled with pictures of nothing. Landscape shots of our backyard, blurry photos of the dog, and several close-ups of a particularly uninteresting fern in the living room. My first birthday, gone. Christmas morning, erased. My entire childhood reduced to filler. Mom, I asked one evening holding out an album, why are all my baby pictures missing? She was in the kitchen, meticulously arranging cookies on a plate. Max had a basketball game tomorrow, and these were fuel for the champion, as she called them. She didn't even glance at me. Chloe, darling, don't be silly. You weren't really ours then. We didn't document things the same way. Her voice was light, dismissive, like she was explaining why she didn't buy generic cereal. But I am yours. You adopted me when I was 6 months old. There should be photos. She finally looked up, and her eyes, they were different. Colder. Adoption is a big word, Chloe. We raised you, that's what matters. She placed the plate of cookies on the counter and turned her attention back to frosting them with an unnerving precision. That was the first crack, the first hairline fracture in the carefully constructed facade of our family. From then on, things just deteriorated. It started subtly. Eliza, Mom, would forget my name, calling me the girl or that one. She'd accidentally on purpose leave me out of family dinners, forcing me to scrounge for leftovers in the fridge. She began criticizing everything I did. My clothes, my grades, my art. You're not trying hard enough, Chloe, she'd say, her voice laced with a venom I couldn't understand. Max understands the importance of dedication. He's a real member of this family. Max, oblivious or complicit, ate it up. He'd always been favored, but now it was blatant. He'd smirk at me across the dinner table, a tiny, almost imperceptible twist of his lips. David, my dad, would wring his hands, offering weak protests that Eliza would easily brush aside. One night, I overheard them arguing in their bedroom. Eliza, you can't keep doing this. She's our daughter. David's voice was strained, desperate. She's different, David. You don't see it, but I do. She doesn't belong here. Not really. Eliza's voice was low, a dangerous hiss. Fear coiled in my stomach, cold and tight. I pressed my ear against the door, straining to hear more, but their voices dropped to a murmur. That's when I started digging. Sarah, my best friend, helped me. We started with the adoption papers. Simple enough, or so I thought. They were missing. Lost in a fire, Eliza said with a shrug when I confronted her. An unfortunate accident. I didn't believe her. Next, we went to the local historical society. Our house was old, built in the late 1800s. Maybe there was something in its history, something that could explain Eliza's bizarre behavior. Mr. Henderson, the society's resident historian, was a kindly old man with a twinkle in his eye. He pulled out dusty ledgers and old maps, his fingers tracing the faded ink. Ah, yes, the Cartwright house, he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. Interesting history. Some say it's cursed. Cursed. I scoffed internally. Superstition. But Mr. Henderson's next words sent a shiver down my spine. There were whispers, you see, about a woman who lived there long ago. A woman who replaced her own child with another, claimed her real child had been taken. Driven mad by grief, they said. He looked at me, his eyes filled with an unsettling pity. Be careful, child. Some places they hold onto the past. That night I had a nightmare. I was standing in our living room, but the furniture was old, Victorian. Eliza was there, but she was younger, dressed in a long, dark dress. She held a baby in her arms, rocking it gently. My sweet, sweet child, she crooned, her voice hollow. They took you from me, but I'll find you. I'll bring you back. Then the baby's face changed. It twisted and contorted, becoming grotesque, inhuman. I woke up screaming, my sheets soaked in sweat. The next day, Eliza insisted I see Dr. Albright, her therapist. She claimed I was acting out and needed professional help. I knew what she was doing. She was trying to gaslight me to make me believe I was crazy. Dr. Albright was unsettlingly calm, his voice a soothing drone. He asked me about my feelings, my relationship with my mother, my dreams. I tried to explain what was happening, but he just smiled knowingly. Chloe, sometimes teenagers have difficulty adjusting to family dynamics. It's perfectly normal to feel displaced. He prescribed me anti-anxiety medication. I flushed them down the toilet as soon as I got home. I knew I was on my own. I started spending more time in the attic. It was a creepy, unfinished space filled with forgotten junk. But it was also the one place Eliza never went. It felt safe. One afternoon, while rummaging through an old trunk, I found it. A diary, bound in faded leather, its pages filled with elegant, spidery handwriting. It was Eliza's mother's diary. I started reading. The diary told the story of a woman struggling with postpartum depression, a woman consumed by paranoia and grief. She wrote about feeling like her baby was a changeling, a replacement for her real child. She wrote about hearing voices, seeing shadows, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread in the house. The entries grew increasingly erratic and disturbing. She wrote about rituals, about trying to cleanse the house, about protecting her true child from the imposter. The last entry was chilling. They say I'm mad. They want to take my baby away, but I won't let them. I'll protect him no matter what, even if it means making a sacrifice. The diary fell from my trembling hands. I understood. Eliza wasn't just being cruel. She was reliving her mother's madness. She believed I was an imposter, a threat to Max, her real child. I had to get out. I packed a bag, throwing in clothes, my sketchbook, and the diary. I was about to sneak out of the house when I heard it, a noise coming from the basement. A soft, rhythmic chanting. Curiosity, or maybe just morbid fascination, compelled me to investigate. The basement was dark and damp, the air thick with the smell of mildew and something else, something acrid and metallic. Eliza stood in the center of the room, surrounded by candles. She was wearing a long white gown, her face pale and drawn. Max was beside her, his eyes glazed over, his body swaying slightly. "What are you doing?" I whispered, my voice trembling. Eliza turned, her eyes burning with a fanatical light. "I'm protecting my family, Chloe, cleansing it of impurities." She raised a silver knife, its blade glinting in the candlelight. Max took a step forward, his eyes fixed on me, his face blank. "Max, no," I cried, but it was too late. He lunged at me, his hands reaching for my throat. He was strong, stronger than I thought possible. I struggled, kicking and screaming, but he wouldn't let go. Eliza chanted louder, her voice rising to a fever pitch. The room seemed to spin, the shadows dancing on the walls. I felt my vision blurring, my breath growing shallow. Suddenly, David burst into the basement, his face contorted with rage. He grabbed Max, pulling him away from me. "Eliza, what have you done?" he roared, his voice echoing through the room. Eliza ignored him, her eyes still fixed on me. "She's not one of us, David. She's a parasite. I have to get rid of her." David looked from Eliza to me, his face filled with horror. He finally saw it. The madness in her eyes, the darkness that had consumed her. He tackled Eliza to the ground, wresting the knife from her grasp. Max stood there, dazed and confused, his eyes slowly regaining their focus. I scrambled to my feet, coughing and gasping for air. I ran out of the basement, out of the house, and into the night. I never went back. I live with Sarah now. David visits sometimes. He's different, broken. He's trying to get Eliza help, but she's resistant. She still believes I'm an imposter. Max, I haven't seen him. I don't know if I ever will. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, hearing the chanting, feeling Max's hands on my throat. I see Eliza's eyes burning with that fanatical light. I know I escaped, but I also know that the darkness is still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its chance to return. And sometimes I wonder if I truly escaped at all. Maybe a part of me is still trapped in that house, forever haunted by the madness of my mother. I can't help but wonder if I was even ever really adopted, or just the sacrifice Eliza's mother mentioned so long ago.